Ya Ali Madad. My name is Akbar Dhala, and I'm chairman of the Aga Khan Health Board for the UK. When we made our New Year's resolutions just a few months ago, heralding in a fresh decade, we could barely have imagined a black swan event that would result in a lockdown of our country and the biggest health pandemic of our lifetime. Yet, here we are, our students studying from home, our seniors in self-isolation, our businesses closed, everyone staying home and social distancing. Getting used to this way of life, however temporary, can cause anxiety and can be overwhelming. In our mental health and well-being series of the AKHB's Healthy Bytes podcast, I am talking to Dr. Asif Bachlani, a consultant psychiatrist and hospital medical director at the Priory Hospital in Woking. Asif, hello, and thank you for joining us today.
Yanimad Akbar, thank you so much for having me today on this podcast to talk about mental health matters and mental health well-being.
Asif, the last time we met in February, we were at Central London Bethel Ilm during Children's Mental Health Week, and our message was find your brave. That seems to ring even more true today for all of us than it did just 2 months ago.
Absolutely, and without a doubt, we find ourselves in unprecedented times, being 3 weeks into a lockdown, and most of us remaining in our house as part of the government's social distancing measures. As humans, it's in our nature to be social and to be around people, so staying in our homes is not our norm, and so this requires all of us to find our brave and to be resilient.
Yes, life is all about taking small, brave steps every day. But right now, many of us might be feeling anxious, have low mood, low energy, worried about the future for ourselves, for our loved ones, for our community. That would seem to be normal given the circumstances. So how can we support each other and ourselves during this time?
So we all find ourselves in this unusual situation where we're not following our usual routines and staying at home, mostly indoors. So firstly, it's important to say it is normal to feel this way, and we are all feeling this way. We will have times in a day when we feel all right, and other parts where we feel annoyed, upset, scared, or worried. Secondly, we need to be kind to ourselves and to say that if we have a bad day, to acknowledge it and then not to worry about it too much. In fact, draw a line under it and move on to the next day. When we are having these bad moments, perhaps call a friend or speak to family. Talk about how you feel and remind yourselves that the situation isn't permanent. So to the question of how we support ourselves, this has been discussed in previous Health Board podcasts, which focus on structure and routine. Sounds simple, but it's important. As much as possible, keep to a routine. When we get up, the time we go to bed, when we eat our meals. Try to eat healthy. Do exercise, and if you can, spend some time outdoors. Speak to your family and friends. Stay in contact. I would also suggest to focus one day at a time and try not to think too much about the future. Another suggestion would be not to watch the news too much and consider how much we are all on social media. A good way to manage our anxiety is to consider mindfulness or meditation, yoga or Tai Chi. For me personally, I prefer mindfulness using the app Insight Timer and do this most nights. I find this relaxing and gives me a sense of calm.
And what about our seniors in self-isolation, perhaps more than ever feeling lonely? How can we help them take advantage of technology to stay connected with family and friends?
So given that our Jamaat Khanas and senior clubs are closed, where often our seniors would socialise, it's vitally important for our seniors to stay connected to their family and friends. So this can be done via the phone, using video calls such as FaceTime, WhatsApp, or Zoom. What our seniors will need help in is accessing these technologies and getting onto such platforms, but it is really important to stay in contact with people.
Yes, and the time we are spending at home gives us even more opportunities to use technology. But didn't we used to say we all needed to limit the time we spend on social media, on our devices, on screen time?
So in my previous talk at Bachlani, which focused on our children, I did indeed say that we need to be careful about the amount of time they and we spend in front of a screen. However, we're now in really different times. And as humans, it's important to be social and stay in contact with people. So at present, I would say not to worry too much about how much time we're spending on our devices, as we are using this to stay in contact with people, be it WhatsApp, FaceTime, Zoom, or Microsoft Teams. Just to consider building in some breaks when we are using this technology. My only other caveat to that is try not to use technology an hour before bedtime, as research done in children in Sheffield a few years ago shows it can significantly affect one's sleep. In their study, they asked children not to use the phone or a tablet 1 hour before bedtime, and children who did this got up to 90 minutes extra sleep, compared to a standard sleeping tablet which only gave 15 minutes. So as much as possible, try not to use your phone or tablet an hour before bedtime, as sleep's important.
That's interesting. Yes, good sleep is important, isn't it? And we know that disturbed sleep, along with stress, weakens the immune system. And if there is an opportunity to reduce screen time, it might be not to spend too much time watching the 24-hour news channels. So how do we overcome stresses? What are your tips for staying mentally healthy during this time?
So again, from the offset, I want to say it's okay to feel stressed. And we will, at times, feel stressed and show different signs of stress, be it irritability, feeling sad, anxious, or overwhelmed. We should acknowledge it's okay to feel stressed and not to be too hard on ourselves. Secondly, that there are many ways we can manage our stress, such as using guided meditations, which you can get via various apps such as Insight Timer, Stop, Breathe and Think, or Headspace. You can also check out the website Head Talks, which has very useful videos. Exercise is important too. This can be outside or inside using various exercise videos such as Joe Wicks on YouTube. If you can spend some time outside in nature, this can also be very helpful. I would also suggest reading a book or listening to books using audiobooks, listening to music, or taking up a new hobby like learning a new language or an instrument. In essence, try to do things that you would normally find relaxing. And for some people, this is having warm baths or even having cups of tea. Finally, it can be really helpful to talk to people about our emotions. And it's that old saying that a problem shared is a problem halved.
Yeah. And are these tips universal, Asif, or would you have different tips for any particular segment, whether it be children, students, parents, professionals, key workers, our businesses, seniors? How can we all build resilience?
So for the most part, they're universal, but just need to be adapted. So for children, shorter mindfulness sessions, say 5 to 8 minutes, doing exercise outside, playing board games and listening to music. Children may express their emotions differently and experience their emotions differently. And another Health Board podcast, Let's Talk Emotions, is helpful to watch. For parents, as much as possible, set up a routine for children where they have scheduled activities during the day. And as part of this schedule, have a time when your child or children play by themselves, so that as a parent, one has some time on your own. The Health Board podcast, Finding Our New Normal, is worth checking out. People who are working or key workers, again, routine is really important. Trying to wake up at the same time, eat at the same time, and go to the bed at the same time. It's also important to find ways to unwind and to relax when you're at home. Again, try not to watch the news too much and focus on your sleep. This is vitally important. For seniors, staying in contact with people using technology is important. Adapting exercise, and they can also use mindfulness. As seniors may prefer to say ganans and keep to a routine by saying prayers at their usual times and with their family using technology.
Very practical tips, Asif. It would also seem to me that there is no better time than lockdown to learn how to benefit from sitting alone in a room, feeling peaceful and serene. What about those with a disability or underlying health condition? Have you got any suggestions on how they can cope with increased anxiety?
Again, this would be similar. Keep to a routine. Think about things that can help you relax and feel calmer. It would just need to be adapted to one's strengths and needs. So listen to music. Instead of reading, perhaps consider audiobooks. Keep to the routine. And then think about the other suggestions I've made and adapt it to your circumstances and needs.
And what is staying at home doing to our physical health? So we know that the two are interconnected. So while we look after our mental health, are we also taking care of our physical health?
So this is also really important. We know our physical health and mental health go hand in hand. Being indoors doesn't need to be negative, and there's lots of exercise that can be done indoors. We just need to be flexible and adaptable. Use what we've got in our homes, and perhaps fish out those old exercise DVDs that we've got somewhere in our back of our cupboards. I've already mentioned Joe Wicks in YouTube videos, or just walking in your house, be it up and down the stairs, or you can even consider doing family exercise using the Zoom app. Spending time outdoors can be helpful, and if you can use this time outside that the government allows. In regard to eating, eat at the same times. Keep to the routine. Try to eat healthy and nutritional foods. Try not to snack too much, and if you are snacking between meals, try to eat fruit or other healthy foods. We should all remember that this is not permanent, and that this will be with us for a short period of time.
Yes. And what if the negative emotions I'm feeling are persistent? How can I get more help and support?
So, if we find that these negative feelings are not going away and staying with us daily or for the most part of the day for 2 weeks or more, this is when we need to start seeking professional help. This includes feeling depressed or anxious, and for some people, may also include feeling suicidal. If you're having any of these experiences, I strongly suggest that you contact your GP, who can put you in contact with counsellors or psychologists, and mindfulness can still be helpful here. You may need to take medication or see a psychiatrist. If you're feeling suicidal or having a crisis, call the Samaritans or go to A&E. A lot of hospitals are now setting up separate mental health A&Es, which are an A&E but in a separate area. You can also call the Health Board or Social Welfare Board.
Yes, the Health Board and Social Welfare Board are available for support, and they can be contacted either via the Coronavirus Support Helpline or via the IRUK directory. Now, sadly, we know that families have lost loved ones, and that is a very difficult and traumatic time. What advice can you give to families who go through this painful experience?
This is really difficult, and it's a hard time for us all, as we used to grieve with our immediate and wider family. We would normally be going out and speaking to our friends and family, but due to this COVID situation, this is severely restricted. I would suggest being open and upfront about your feelings. Talk to your family and friends via Zoom or FaceTime. We would expect people to go through the 5 stages of grief, which are disbelief, anger, bargaining, sadness, and acceptance. At these unusual times, this can be exaggerated or prolonged. If this has to occur, seek medical advice, contact your GP, contact local bereavement organisations such as CRUISE or ones in your area. You can also liaise with a local Mind and speak to the Samaritans at times of crisis. If you want to find out what's in your local area, just put grief counselling and 111 and you'll get the local organisations via the NHS website. But it's important to keep talking and don't stop to your family and friends.
Asif, these tips are really helpful. Thank you so much for sharing them with us and for your time. And thank you for everything that you and your colleagues are doing for society at this time. I am using this period to take myself out of the fear zone. instead of transmitting fear-related emotions to others, forwarding messages I don't need to, I'm learning to let go of things outside my control. I'm trying to practice ways to improve, living in the present, practicing calmness, showing gratefulness, and transmitting hope. As the government and scientists agree a strategy to exit lockdown, one thing is for sure: the world will not be the same. Change might be scary, but it can be positive. We will look at our National Health Service in a very different way. Spending on health services will increase, and the capacity of our diagnostics industry will be greatly enhanced. This crisis will pass, and we can then, once again, look forward together to build a better future. I wish you all good health and stay safe. Ya Ali Madad.